Welcome to the Learning Center on MSG Metro. I'm Bobby Rivers, your host on Metro Law. Tonight, we're going to talk about malpractice. What do you do legally if you feel that your doctor has made a mistake here in the metro area? Now, what we're going to talk about in this first segment is how do you determine if you have a malpractice case? And here are the gentlemen who are going to help me in this discussion. We have Jeffrey Shapiro from Jeffrey Shapiro and Associates here in Manhattan. How you doing, Jeff?
Fine, thank you. Good evening.
Nice to have you here. If this is just an example, if after visiting hours, if when your regular doctor is gone, somebody has a respirator, the nurse on duty after hours is not keeping a check, the person dies because something happens with the respirator. Is that malpractice? Is that negligence?
Medical malpractice falls into a variety of categories. It can be when a doctor performs a procedure and does it improperly. That could be malpractice. It could be where a healthcare provider other than a doctor, such as a nurse's assistant, does something which causes injury and did something improper. It could also be failure to do something which should have been done under the circumstances, such as perform proper tests or perform a procedure which might have saved somebody's life or might have prevented them from becoming injured. That's also malpractice.
What are some of the basic elements that have to come into play to determine if malpractice has occurred?
Well, if I just may, the two things that have to come into play in a medical malpractice case would be, one, that someone who is attempting to provide a medical service does so negligently and does something wrong. And the second element must be that as a result of that, someone has become injured. You can have malpractice without an injury. The example would be a person, and this happens quite frequently. We'll get phone calls, I'm sure. We've all gotten these calls. Someone will call me and say, look, I was at a hospital complaining of pain to my arm. They did an x-ray of my arm and said there was nothing wrong. A week later, I went to another hospital. They took another x-ray, and I had a fractured arm. Was the first hospital negligent? Did they commit malpractice? Probably yes. But is there necessarily a malpractice case? No. If the second hospital corrected it in time, and if as a result that person didn't suffer injury because of the malpractice.
What kind of malpractice cases usually do go to court?
I know that I prepare every case that I take, every malpractice case, to try the case. Whether I try it or not isn't the point. The point is that from the moment that I take this case,
right,
I'm thinking of how I'm going to present this case at trial. Because I know as a certainty that the case will be very well defended and that the lawyers who will be opposing me are going to be top rate, and also they will have no shortage of doctors who will be prepared to come in and testify on behalf of other doctors. I know that. So I have to be prepared to do that, and I can only negotiate a settlement from a position of strength, which means I've got to be prepared to try my case. The cases that go to trial to a verdict, generally speaking, are ones where there are issues of fact that can't be resolved. Maybe there are multiple defendants. Maybe there are a series of doctors and hospitals pointing the finger at one another,
right, and
you can't resolve it. Or there are very complicated medical issues and there are really strong points on both sides. Those go to trial and many of them go to verdict.
How do you find a good reputable lawyer to take on your case if you feel that malpractice has occurred? Let me give you the phone numbers right now. 877-MSG-METRO, that's the phone number. If you want to fax us, 877-METRO-FAX, and you can email us at the Learning Center address on your screen. We're talking about malpractice. What can you do legally here in the metro area if you feel malpractice has happened in your life? We'll take a break. We'll come right back. Thank you.